Hey, Coach. So glad you found us. Hopefully your hand's up just like this and you want to learn something, and this video will hopefully help you do that. Go over and subscribe so you don't miss anything moving forward. I'm trying to get to 100,000. Let's hope I'll be 90 by the time that happens. But go over and subscribe. That would surely help. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Down in the show notes, you'll be able to find all about it. Let me help you win more games, win some state championships, have more fun in less time. 30 plus years of coaching. Let me help you do that. Let's head off to the video.
All right, welcome to High School Hoops. Before we jump into today's topic, which I don't really want to talk about, but anyway, because I haven't had many, I'd like to give a big shout out to our sponsors. First of all, Dr. Dish, the number one shooting machine on the market, bar none. Mention me, mention Coach Unplugged, mention High School Hoops, mention any of our podcasts, mention Teach Hoops, mention anything, and they'll give you $450 off. Tell them Coach Collins sent you. I trust you, James. James is listening to this. They will take really good care of you. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. A lot of new stuff. I actually put a course up, I don't know, like 8 months ago that's just new material. When I put new material, I just put it there. I also put it like if it's man-to-man principles, I'll put it in the new material course, but I'll also put it in the man-to-man area. So anyway, I got some tweaking to do with some subsets of that, but it's coming along, and we're going to do a big kind of redone. We haven't redone the site in a while, so we're going to do a big redo late spring, probably early summer. Site will always be available, but we're probably going to do a big redo, and with that, prices increase when I do the big redos because I got to pay I'm not doing it. I'm a basketball coach, not a techie. Anyway, so what's today's topic, Coach?
How to recover after a losing streak.
I've had many. We are on a 3-game losing streak at home. Yeah, I haven't had one of those ever in my coaching career at home. So what would your advice to me be?
Well, I mean, I've had a couple of coaching friends that have been going through that too, not just you. And I had a conversation, and it's like, well, I've been in that situation too. And there's obviously adjustments you can make offensively and defensively to support that. Depending on who you're playing, and looking at some of those key things. But I guess I'm looking at is, are there any other things besides those that you can help support that?
Well, I think first of all, losing streaks happen. They do
They
happen,
do.
just like
It's
winning.
part of the game.
It's part of the game.
Right.
It's like winning streaks. I think part of coaching is evaluating and reevaluating all the time. I mean, like literally, I have lists all over right now from our game last night, things that we need to do. So I think the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different outcomes.
Correct.
So if you keep running man and you're on a 9-game losing streak, maybe man-to-man isn't working. Now, I don't know. That's just in general, maybe defensive, whatever it is. But I think you have to evaluate, and that's where outside evaluations, like you and I were talking for about a half hour about my team because
Right.
we'd watched the game last night. And I respect your opinion. I want to know. Like, I don't want to, like, I'm not stubborn. I'm not like, I mean, if you saw my first teams, we ran flex and man, period. I was Bobby Knight and Dick Bennett, and that's all we were ever going to do. And then I've quickly learned out that I had some other players, and we could do these things, and this would be better, and we could transition. And it's like you got to move with the times.
Right.
So I think you got to look at that in terms of the micro part of a season changing with the times too. I think.
Yeah, and I also think it's what you look at and evaluate. So I think lineups are key. I mean, if you have certain kids, if you've been losing for several series of games, maybe tweaking the lineup is always a good idea. If you have I think at any point, if you're able to kind of light a fire a little bit, I think changing the lineup is a good idea if you need to. I also think the other thing is looking when you're evaluating your practices. Are your practices relating? What you're doing in practice course happening in games? Did you have a good practice and did you have a good game? I think that's a big one too, is like, so if you haven't been practicing well, you're not been playing well, then maybe you need to find ways to make practice more competitive, or to find 2 or 3 new drills and add and find that as well. I think those are not like easy ways to really try to get away from that losing streak that you can control.
Right. I
Um,
mean, some
and,
things you can't control. Johnny broke his finger or so and so. I mean, things
or
happen.
if you're a weaker team this year and you play 3 or 4 of their best teams in your conference, there's things you cannot control. But there are things that you can control, and it's about having the reasonable expectation based on the players that you have too. Um, but I think, and then it depends. Like if you got a young team, it could be the simple fact of just doing something different, the mindset of, taking a break from the game for a day and doing something else that's not basketball related. That whole mental health piece of taking the guys out and go bowling or something and team building or something else that's not basketball related. Cause I think in the middle of the season, if you're going through a losing streak, sometimes the last thing you want to do is pick up I'll pick up a basketball. Maybe you need to do something else. You kind of got to gauge where your kids are at, who your team is. But I think that's always been something that always has worked well for me. If I know that my players are kind of in a rut right now, we might do something that isn't basketball related. We might do something completely different, go bowling, go do a movie night, do something that's not even anything to do with X's and O's of basketball.
Well, like we were talking about when we were talking about my trip off the air and stuff and that whole kind of stretch with that. That was part of it too. It's like that was part of it. It was more than just getting away from it was more than basketball. It was getting away and doing something together as a group too. Those team dinners, all that stuff. They're a pain and they're hard sometimes to orchestrate, but they matter. And I think they build relationships. And again, it's bigger than
So can
basketball.
I say the last thing, and I thought about this on my notes, is as a stat teacher, don't you think starting looking at some of your statistics and your important factors and building that to help, repair a losing streak can be effective too? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? In
Yeah.
regards
I
to
think I
turnover
think it's
ratio,
I think it's
defensive percentages, the kind of the stuff, a lot of those 4 effective factors that Huddle does. I don't remember all of them on the top of my head, but there are, the key effective, what are things that you could do within your practice and the games to help reduce or increase those statistics to help provide a greater chance of winning. Like we talked about before about, no, just things that we can do.
right. Well, part of it is too, I think, is you need enough data. Like I'm 10 games in or 11 games. I've got enough data now that I can kind of draw some conclusions about, Johnny, maybe stop shooting so many threes when you're 1 for 74. That might be a good idea for the team. So I think you have enough in your data set at this point to draw those conclusions, don't you think? I mean,
That's
yeah,
kind of the point I'm getting at is, you know, or somebody is playing a position and they're not getting some of the, let's say you got a big kid that's not getting rebounds, I mean, we got to have a conversation with that kid. And hey, if you're going to play within the role, I expect you to get more rebounds than it's showing here.
right.
If you
And
want
look,
to
this
play
is what
more,
you're
like,
doing, and look, and here's
and
what
we
your
need this
expectation.
from you. And then I guess maybe it's even, you're really, I know you've been always a keen person on goal setting and
Right.
what's the other thing? Every year, your role, right? And your role
Role.
changes. So
Right.
sometimes when you're in a losing streak, maybe it's a time to evaluate roles, or are you really doing what you need to do? And this sense of accountability within your role to make your teammates better, to make your team better.
Yeah, and
Start
that's where,
looking at,
we'll probably, I mean, the hardest part for us is to find those times to sit and talk about those roles. Um Usually we should have done, I guess we should have done that on our 36-hour bus trip, um but it's
yeah,
um
probably
but
should have. But
probably should have. That would have been actually, in retrospect, yeah, everyone was sleeping, but anyway, other than that, it's hard. It's really hard to sleep on a coach bus, you know that? It's really hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've never been on a coach bus that long, so I don't know how to
You've
respond.
never been on a long coach bus ride? I was
I
on
mean,
some.
like when I was at college, it was like 3 to 4 hours the longest,
Oh,
and I
so
could
then
sleep.
you say you just sleep sitting up. Yeah.
Yeah, but when you're
Yes.
in it that long, that's
Oh,
got to be hard.
it's brutal. And the big
It's got
bodies
to be
haven't
very
even,
brutal.
oh, the big
Yeah.
bodies even have a harder time, I think. I
Oh,
agree.
for sure. If I was 6'6" on a bus, that'd be terrible.
Oh yeah, you can't get comfortable. That's the problem.
This is why those are some of the reasons why I'm glad I'm not that tall sometimes as I get older.
I know. Be glad you're average. Be glad you're average.
That's right.
Yeah, it's average. All right. Until next week, Coach.
All right. See you soon.
See ya.
Hey, Coach, so glad you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe and like. Second all, go check teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Let me help you put banners and stuff in your gym and become a nationally ranked coach, win more games in less time. Teachhoops.com is a community that will allow you to do that. Go over and check it out and go check the next video out. Bye.